What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Got a special client interview today with my guy, Omar. Omar's been in the program for quite some time. He's had a ton of success and he's become a very good friend of mine. So, Omar, go ahead, introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on here. This is definitely a long time coming. But to everyone out there, my name is Omar Almodovar. I am the founder of Elite Recruits. And what I do is I help uncommitted baseball players find their best fit college through marketing, through connections, and really just guiding them through the toughness of what is the recruiting process.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you jumping on, dude. I know we've been able to build a really good relationship. How do you know how long we've been working together for?
So it was at the end of December last year. So coming up on a year now, close to it. And I can say right away before any question, like I would not be where I am right now without your help because you took me under your wing right when I kind of first started, and it's been surreal to this moment.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you and your hard work, dude. But let's kind of dive into a little bit of the tactics, bro. Like when you first, or maybe even start before that. Like, tell me a little bit about like your background.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Dominican. My first language is Spanish. My family and I moved over to the States when I was 9, 10 years old. And obviously, even to this point last year, I thought I was going to be a big leaguer someday. And that dream didn't happen, but there was something that I was really good at, and that was getting myself out there, really always been well organized. And I knew the world of recruiting is something that guys need help right now. It's something that through the recruiting process myself, it was very complicated. And I was always fortunate enough to be willing to put myself out there. And it was something that I knew, man, right away, I'm going to dive into that. But played college, a couple different places, junior college in Oklahoma, Carl Albert State, Savannah State in Georgia, and then finished my career playing Division I in High Point in North Carolina.
Nice.
I live in Miami full time.
Yeah. No, and now it's been about a year since you stopped playing baseball, actually.
Yeah, just over a year now.
That's crazy, dude. What's kind of been the journey for you? What's that kind of been like?
It's been awesome. It's been a learning experience for sure. I always like to look at it as as the big picture. So I never really take a ton of time to look back because I'm always sprinting into what the end goal is. But it's been such a surreal year. The biggest thing that it's happened to me this year is just seeing what's actually possible. Because now that it's become a reality, I've gotten a glimpse of what my life could look like, what I can build, and seeing what's happening already. It's extremely fulfilling, and knowing that I'm in year one of everything that I'm doing. But yeah, in specifics, it's been a lot of learning. It's been a lot of lessons from you, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, taking it step by step every day.
Sweet. Sweet. Well, let's kind of take it back to the beginning of our relationship and even a little bit before that. Like, where were you at before you decided to jump into the program?
For sure. So I was in just at the end of month two of my business and still really had no idea what I wanted to do exactly. I remember one of the first things that we did when we hopped on our first call is that I also wanted to do catching coaching, right? I was almost scared. If this didn't work out, well, I can always have this as a backup. And you told me that's a terrible idea. Why don't you go all in on something? And I did, and it's the best decision I've made to this day. So I was really in the starting stages. I knew what was possible with this business and how I can help guys out. But I was unsure if, a 23-year-old can successfully place 163 guys in college. And now I'm on this side and I can tell you it is possible. So it's been a long journey for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm obviously super proud of the progress that you made, but you had a little bit of an interesting situation before coming into the program. Number one, we obviously primarily teach people to use Instagram. You use Twitter,
Yeah.
and you were already kind of posting on Twitter, had grown a following and things like that. Maybe if you want to talk about kind of like the baseline of your business before we started working together.
Yeah, for sure. So on Twitter is something, the account that I have now, Elite Recruits, was an account that I started back in 2020 during the pandemic while I was in junior college. Really just helping guys out as I was going through the recruiting process myself. It's something that pandemic really changed the game of recruiting, where coaches weren't allowed to go see guys play in person, so everything really took to online, and a lot of it has stayed that way to this day. So when I first joined the program, I want to say the account had somewhere around 10 to 12,000 followers on Twitter. Now it's almost at 22,000, so gained 10,000 followers in the past year.
Nice. How did you end up getting that initial Twitter following? Like what did you do to get 10,000, 12,000 strangers to follow you? And then obviously now you've got even more.
Yeah. So two things I would credit it to is one, providing value. People are only gonna, tune in and follow if you're giving value. So putting good advice for recruits out there, putting information of what colleges were looking for to, provide value. But then two, and the most important one was consistency. We know that today the game of social media and algorithms is not strange anymore, right? There's a system, and the system rewards consistency. So if you're consistently posting, consistently doing things, the algorithm is naturally going to push you up in the timeline. And that's something that I get on calls all the times with random people. Yeah, I saw your stuff on Twitter. So give value, and number two, consistency, really important.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think what you've been able to do on Twitter is pretty cool because like 20K on Twitter is like,
Yeah.
I mean, some people say like over 100,000 on Instagram, with
Yeah.
the
Something.
weight of that following.
Yeah, I've heard sometimes even like 200,000. It's crazy because it's a lot more of a, Instagram, there's so many different things that you get, but on Twitter, like that's your following, and the people see it all the time. So definitely a platform that I'm very happy to be a part of.
Yeah. That's amazing. I guess the big question, dude, you already had 10,000 followers. You already had a business. Why did you join my program?
Yeah, for a lot, really. 10,000 followers and a business means nothing without actually continuing to scale and knowing what's possible. And really for me, I did have those followers and I had an idea of what I was doing, but that was just from I don't know what it's called, but I see this thing where it's like, people talk about the learning curve where you first start something and you have no idea what you're doing. You learn a little bit and then you think that you know it all, and then there's somebody else on the other side where after you learn a little more, you realize you actually don't know anything. So that's something I've always been cognizant about. All the information that you teach is out there for free. There's no secret to it. But would I rather spend all the time and research that it takes to do that and slow down the growth of my business, or invest into myself and into my clients by getting the help that I needed to scale it much faster?
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, Perfect. So obviously, like you wanted to invest in your business, you wanted to scale faster. Like, what specifically did we implement together that you feel like made the biggest impact on like kind of where you're at?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was definitely honing down on a unique offer, right? Especially in my industry, there's a lot of recruiting services out there, but I needed to focus on how can I provide the absolute most value to my clients. So we knocked that out of the way right away, putting together the best offer possible. And then after that, I think, at least from my perspective, a lot of other people in the program can have different answers as far as like actual stuff that you guys implemented within systems, everything like that. You helped me a ton with those. But for me, the biggest change was just the mindset, the accountability, and the leadership from you, as a business owner that's been in my position before and much higher levels. It's easy for me to come to you with any questions that I had and always get a pretty quick response and help me implement what I needed. Or if a ton of times I've come to you with terrible ideas and you knock those out of the door right away. And then there's times that I come to you with good stuff and you're like, well, but do this and that. And then we continue to make it even better. So that's, can put a price tag on that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you and like we've talked a lot about how, you're always trying to like do more. And I feel like the biggest change that you've made is you're trying to do less and focus a little bit more.
Yeah.
which I really appreciate. But
Yeah,
I know you said you've worked with, 100, you've placed 163 athletes in
yeah,
college in 12 months as a 23-year-old.
yeah.
Like,
24
that's
now. It's surreal. Yeah.
happy birthday. I know it
Um,
was like a couple months ago, but yeah. Why don't you talk a little bit about like the results that you've kind of seen and the growth that you've seen in your business?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that now we have some of the biggest programs in the country, reaching out to us about my guys. And the biggest thing that I would say, as far as my business and the vision for it is working with really, really good people first before good athletes, right? I always want to work with good players, obviously, but my job is to make it not only easier for the player to get recruited, right? But then also make it easier for the coaches to recruit the players, which, there's a ton of guys that the coaches talk to every single year. And only a small amount of those guys do they actually, bring on board to the program. And coaches are experts in evaluating talent. That's what they do every single day. But a lot of the unknowns with this current recruiting process in today's age with a lot of social media marketing is, well, what kind of person am I getting? So I go through a very selective process with the clients that I bring on board, making sure that they're the right fit first. And then if they make sense from there, it's much easier to work with them because coaches at that point, they're only evaluating talent. They don't have anything else to worry about.
100%. Dude, I like to say this, but like the best way to have really good client results is to have really good clients.
Exactly.
So I think even we were talking about this before we started, like you were like, dude, if you can't watch this video,
Yeah.
like you're not going to be the client for me. How are you supposed to put yourself out there to, I don't know, somebody at like an ACC college baseball coach and say like, yeah, this is my guy.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, and we can talk about it. So I just hopped off a call right before this, and this kid was actually a pretty decent player, 4.0 GPA. So he has good grades, right? Struggling through the recruiting process. Through the conversations already, I was expecting, not to be what ended up happening, but we give the player some tasks to do before the call. He agreed to do the task. We hop on the call and then he didn't do it. And then, he told me a different story of something else. And right away, that's a huge turnoff for me, right? Because that's not a guy that I'm 100% confident that I can 100% say to a coach, like, this is a guy for you, where, my part of the service is over once I place him to a school. So most people think, but then that's really when it starts. What is that guy going to do once they get into that locker room? What kind of person are they going to be? Are they going to leave that program better than they found it? And I, being 24 years old in this industry, I'm probably the youngest person in the world to have a recruiting company. I take my reputation very serious. So I'm only going to bring a guy on board that's going to share the same values that I have.
100%. 100%. Yeah, because you're trying to play the long game. You're trying to build an empire.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you think are some beliefs that you've had to overcome in order to, place over 100 or 163 athletes in college?
It's a good question. Um, I think definitely the patient side of it, right? There's a lot of stuff that, everything I feel like I've always been a really, really hard worker in all aspects of life. But I think that, having patience with this process in particular is very important, right? It's not always about, the biggest school that offers the player, the first school that offers the player, but more so about finding the right fit for them. And, the transfer portal is the way it is now for tons of different reasons. But one of those reasons definitely being guys trying to push themselves up to a level where they may not be the best fit at, which nothing wrong to push yourself, encourage it, right? But I try to emphasize on my guys on finding the right fit, right? My goal is not to send you off to college and then hear back from you a couple months later that you have to transfer because things didn't work out there. So I want to make sure that they find a situation that makes perfect sense for them. So I think patience is a big virtue with that.
100%. 100%. Do you feel like there's anything else maybe that you believed to be true before you joined the program, or like when you first started your business, that's changed now?
Ton, yeah. So that answer was just for like my specific niche and what I'm doing. But in general, the biggest belief that I had, and I'm glad you re-asked the question because I wanted to say this is, like and even not too long ago, I feel like I can do everything, right? I'm super high energy, and focusing on one thing is so much more important than doing three different things, and doing them to less than 100% of your capability. So that's been the biggest thing for me. I think that it's what I'm implementing now a lot more, and by focusing more on one thing, eventually the other ones will fall on my lap, or I'll be able to focus on them down the line, but by building what I'm building first, not dividing my attention.
Definitely. And you kind of hinted at this now, but like, what would you say are the challenges that you're facing right now?
For sure, yeah. Definitely trying to limit how many different things I'm focusing on at a time is the answer. And then the challenges is figuring out what more value I can provide for my guys. Obviously, I provide a recruiting service, but I like my guys to come in and have a full service. So right now we're actually in the middle of adding a mental skills coach, where we tested it out last year. And anytime guys, we're struggling, they can schedule a call at no cost. And we tried it with a handful of guys. Each and every single one of those guys saw their batting averages rise or their ERA drop after the call. So just always finding ways to improve my program. And it's a challenge for me because being the one that does everything, right? Every side of the business, it's hard to handle the day to day and then also focus on the future. But that's something that with different drills that we've implemented, speaking about the prioritization drill that I just went over to the mastermind in person, and that's probably one of the biggest things that I walked away with. That's something that now I've implemented into that list, everything I need to get done for the future, and off of that list I can see what needs to get done now, what can wait for later.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I know, like, especially as an ambitious person who's like confident in their abilities, it's really, really easy to be like, dude, I could do anything, and when your mind gets open to what's possible, you start realizing that you actually can do everything, and you start getting more opportunities, and it's difficult to say no to those opportunities that come to you. But
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you more about the mastermind. You touched on it. What
Yeah,
was your experience like coming out here?
it was it exceeded. I had really high expectations already. In Scottsdale, Arizona, and meeting Nick was already great, but they exceeded it even more. You provided a ton of value on your end. We don't even need to touch up on that. But then the community side of it was really, really cool because I got to meet all these different people from all different parts of the country that are doing businesses similar but different to mine, yet we're still able to connect and be able to learn from each other. And I've made lifelong friends just from that event. And a ton of knowledge, stuff that I got home and right away got to work and started implementing everything.
Yeah. How do you feel like coming to that mastermind changed your perspective on things?
A ton. It showed me that I need to get focused. Going back to that same topic, I think it's a cliche, but I keep talking about the same topic because I'm focused on it now. But it's really trying to, hone in on your goal and figuring out in detail how to make that possible, right? A lot of people have vague goals or have no constraints around their goals. So within that mastermind that weekend, it just opened up my eyes to seeing, okay, this needs to get done. Well, I don't necessarily have to do that right now. There's other stuff that I can focus on that's going to be higher leverage that I can continue to not only bring clients in, fulfill clients, but grow at the same time. And seeing how everyone else goes about their processes was really eye opening.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think being around other people who are trying to do what you want to do and are doing it at a very high level is like one of the highest leverage things you can do in life,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Even, and I'll touch on this, even so I got to the event a couple days early because I had to leave early. But one of the biggest takeaways that I had, and obviously our situations are a little bit different than, if you have a wife and kids and a family and all this stuff, but just realizing how you transition everything in your life to be able to be as productive as possible and as present as possible into your business. So that's something that, a lot of people I hear, they want to be business owners, but then they don't want to work the weekends, or they want to be business owners, but they want to be able to leave at 5 o'clock. You can't have both. It's either, you have one or the other, but that was really cool to see how you maximize every minute you have to pour into your business.
What do you mean by that? Like what specifically?
Well, DoorDash every day, Uber, no drive. I mean DoorDash to Chipotle, no needing to go pick it up. That's a tiny thing, but that's 40 minutes of your day. In 40 minutes of your day, you could get a lot done. Or, cooking, essentially, little things like that, having the gym directly downstairs, not driving, just little things like that, everyone is a little different, so they can, make their list how they want it. But by being able to prioritize your business first, it's a sacrifice at the end of the day. All business owners are in different levels, but the sacrifice is still the same.
Yeah. You know, I don't know exactly what the saying is, but I think it's like you either are willing to sacrifice your goals or your goals become the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who said that first, but whoever did, they're a genius.
Yeah. I think everybody, you know, to everyone watching out there, if you're considering, like starting a business, you have to ask yourself, it's not like, what am I, willing to do to make the business successful, but backwards, what am I willing to sacrifice in order to make this work? So, going out on the weekends is something that, as a guy that just, recently graduated college, I like going out. I live in Miami, but I quickly realized that that doesn't serve the big picture. So I'm willing to sacrifice that right away. Now my weekends are 10 times more productive. And by the time I get to Monday, like, I'm not dreading it. I'm ready to work because I just organized my entire week instead of, investing that time into something that wasn't give you any value.
100%. And like, dude, if you take weekends off, let's say it's 104 days a year.
Almost a third of the year.
Yeah. And, people are always willing to take them off. And I'm like, well, I hope that you try and compete with me.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to work like 60 to 70% more than you.
Exactly.
Or I don't know if that's the math, maybe 40% more than you.
But still,
Right.
but that's a huge percentage. And that's just 1 year. What about in 2 years?
Yeah, exactly. And then it compounds, right? And as it's just like, dude, if you're trying to get good at hitting, you should probably hit every single day,
Guys that
right?
hit often.
Dude, yeah. The we played a tournament at University of Florida when I was in high school. I don't remember their assistant coach's name, but he said they have a saying at Florida that's the guys that hit the most,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes, like, I would say all the time, baseball and business, the correlation can be 1 to 1 almost exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Except in business, you have a lot more control over the outcomes.
Yeah, exactly. But
Um,
the inputs stay the same, and the inputs is what shapes up the outcome. So if you focus on what you can control, and that's the inputs, let the other side take care of itself, and you sacrifice those weekends and input more, the result's going to be favorable more times than not.
100%, 100%. I know you kind of gave people advice like who are looking to start a business or whatever, but maybe about this program specifically. Number one, like what does the program actually look like? Because some people have like are watching this right now and they're just like, okay, you talk about the program, like what is it?
Yeah, so I mean the program, and one, it's grown a lot since I first joined it and added a lot more components that make it more valuable. But the training modules are phenomenal. But even starting from the beginning, the initial call has so much value because that paints a clear picture. You don't let somebody walk away from that call without having a clear picture. And that's the first step that you need, right? A lot of, like myself, I was confused on exactly what I wanted to do. Well, now you gave me a clear picture, and it's much more easier to focus on that when I know exactly what I'm aiming for, right? After that, you have all the video modules inside the course, which are extremely valuable, that you took a ton of time to put together, and they're updated with pretty much, I'd say, close to A through Z, everything that you need to get this thing going and continuing to scale it. There's still things in there that I haven't watched because I haven't even gotten to that part yet, paid ads, stuff like that. So it has everything in there. And then after that, the community support, huge, 100+ coaches all over the country, dare I say some parts of the world, that are doing this thing, and you get a ton of value from all those individuals. And then the group calls, which are my favorite part, just get together and you get to ask questions, you get to hear other people's questions, answers, feedback. It's a well put together system, and something that I'm looking to add into my guys, providing them that much value with videos, group calls, everything in between.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. And it's crazy, dude. Like, you are one of the most successful people in the program, and you have some of the best attendance to the group calls, you know? And I think that says a lot about you and your character, the fact that you're willing to continue to learn, even though you're probably a lot further ahead than most of the people in there.
Yeah, honestly, I look forward to those all the time because I have questions all the time, but I enjoy, you know, Anthony was the one that, shout out Anthony, was the one that asked about the prioritization drill, something that I needed, but I didn't know that I needed it by just being in attendance on that call. And funny enough, you can pull up the recording that I was in the gym in the middle of that call, right? So I could have easily said, well, I'm just going to work out in peace. But I tuned in, and now I got something that I guarantee is going to change the shape of my business in the next couple months, because now I know exactly what I need to do in order.
Definitely. And maybe if you want to talk a little bit about the scale program too. We don't really promote it at all.
If you know, you know. No, so the scale program is definitely great. I think that's just, a higher level program of what's already in there. And I can't wait to continue seeing how that grows. But right now, that has so much value for guys like myself that already have an established business and, are making sales and fulfilling clients. To scale it, whatever I did in the first year is now what's going to get me through my second year in growth. So that right there is super important. Just because I've made this and I've done this doesn't mean anything when I have the big picture in mind. I need to continue learning. And there's so much value in that group. It's a much smaller group. And those guys are all in similar ranges of their businesses and getting to pick their brains too. Really enjoy those calls. They're a lot more intimate. We get to ask higher level questions. And, regardless, any questions that we have, I'll add this. Extremely, you impressed me a ton the other day when guys in that scale call asked for, in the scale channel, asked for two things. One was how to run the Go High level. Next day there was a video in there for us. And then the Slack thing, same thing. Next day there was a video in there for us. So the time to constrain is super short. If we need something, you provide it for us pretty quickly. And when we're in that stages of businesses, having that quickness to solve our issues is really important, because that can make a difference of how well you do in a month.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys have different problems, you know. If
Yeah.
you're watching this right now and you're trying to figure out how to do online training, you just need to jump, right? You just need to do it. Whether you're going to work with us or not, I really don't care. There are thousands of people out there that are going to pay us. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. But if you're already doing it, oftentimes the thing that got you to the point where, let's say, you're making $10,000, $20,000 a month online, you're going to actually have to do less of that yourself and get other people to do it for you. And that's the real challenge of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But who would you say, who would you say like the remote training mastermind, the front end program, the one that most people join, like
Yeah.
who would you say that program is for?
Yeah, I definitely say that's for people that are looking to make a big impact outside of, being limited to whether it's a batting cage, a basketball court, lacrosse, being able to make an impact on athletes more than just the guys in your, small community. Because at the end of the day, I have clients all over the country. I've had clients in Japan and South Korea, all over the world, and that wouldn't be possible for me to help people like that need the help if I was only limited to where I'm currently, helping guys out of.
100%. 100%. What about on the flip side? Who is it not for? Like if somebody's watching this right now and they're like, I'm not 100% sure if this is for me. Who is it not for?
Well, I definitely say three things. One, it's not for you if you're not willing to be consistent at it. It's not for you if you're not willing to sacrifice other outside stuff to focus on this and grow it. And number three is not for you if you're looking to get rich quick. This is something that, we're building real companies, and this is a new era in the world that, now more than ever, anyone can become a business owner. But it's not about, hey, how many guys can I sign up? It's how much impact can I make? So we're not here talking about dollars. We're talking about how many guys' lives have changed, how many scholarships they've been able to get. In the community, there's a huge wins channel where all these other coaches are posting all the attributes and all the metrics that their guys are improving on because of the value they provide. So if you're looking to lead with value, I would say definitely join the program and be able to scale that. If that's not exactly what you're looking for, then I suggest you watch some more of Nick's videos and figure out if it's not for you, then great, at least you know. But if it is, then definitely hop on a call and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And
What
if anybody wants to reach out to me, they can and give them the honest truth. You already saw it here, but feel free to reach out. I've had people reach out in the past. More than happy to answer any questions they have.
appreciate you for that. Appreciate you. No, I think one of the biggest things that like people that watch my stuff struggle with is justifying charging high prices for their services. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, that's something that you can charge lower prices if you want, but then how much value are you actually going to give that person? If to be able to pay the bills, you have to take 1,000 of them. If you're charging a very low price, then you can't really give value. Whereas if you provide as much value as possible, there's an outcome to that it's worth a high ticket price, right? But you have to definitely start with value first. I'd say if you are providing a ton of value, there's no way that you're going to be able to physically charge a low ticket. If you are charging a very low ticket, it's impossible for you to provide a ton of value.
Yeah, because you can't do it full time. You can't focus on it all the time.
Exactly. Or you're going to have as many people as possible in order to, make ends meet. And with bringing in as many people as possible, how are you going to possibly give everyone the care that it takes to actually help them?
100%. Yeah, it's like ethical to charge a high price,
Yeah.
which is crazy to what a lot
It's
of people
crazy.
think,
Yeah,
right?
I'm just somebody watching this probably gonna think we're crazy, but yeah, it really is because if you charge a low ticket price and you're not able to help everyone like you promised, then you're a bad person. Whereas if you provide a ton of value and you're compensated well for that value, well, you can really focus on that person that you're helping. And that's where I think a lot of people go wrong and trying to find the cheap, solution. Well, if it was cheap, is it really a solution versus, I hear all the time with, we don't have to rant on all about it, but some recruiting services that charge $50. I mean, I don't know what exact help they're doing with that, but to each their own.
Yeah. How are you going to spend any sufficient amount of time with that athlete to give them the help? Like, let's say you want to make $5,000 a month, right? You need 100 athletes paying you $50 a month to make $5,000 a month. Do you have any idea how much time it takes to fulfill 100 athletes on a recruiting service if you're going to reach out to coaches on their behalf, if you're going to talk to them all the time,
It's
or even
impossible.
on the training side, right? Like
Mhm.
to actually give them the value that they need in order to get the results that they want, it's actually impossible to charge low price. You do it full time and focus on it entirely, and the athletes get the results.
Exactly. And at that point, it really becomes unethical to charge the low price because you're promising something and then you're not going to be able to deliver on it, which therefore, at least in my industry, and the same thing goes for training. If you're promising these results, well, that player is counting on you. And then at the end of the process, when you don't deliver, they have to restart. So now they have to set themselves back even more. So not only did they lose money, but now they lost time, which they can't get back.
Yeah. No, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. What would you say to somebody who's watching my stuff right now
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, I'm not sure about this Nick Neville guy. I'm not sure about his program. I don't know if it's going to work for me. What would you say to that person right now?
I mean, at the end of the day, every single step in the program is tiered to guaranteeing that you're going to be in the position that you need to be to succeed. If that's what you're looking for, then join the program. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. Are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to show up for yourself to, build a life that you want, provide results to athletes all over, not just in your facility, or be able to spend more time with your family, be able to travel and still be able to provide value and work? Then join and see. But at the end of the day, you have to show up for yourself. You can't expect your athletes to invest into training with you to get better if you're not willing to invest into yourself to get better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You become hypocritical if you're not willing to pay to learn how to do stuff and be held accountable and then actually do the work that is required to get the goals that you say that you have,
Exactly.
right? A lot of people want to make 5, 10K a month training athletes online. A lot of people want to grow a social following. A lot of people want to create the life that they want, but they're not willing to stroke the check. And that doesn't even mean financially.
Yeah.
The-
Sacrifices everything.
exactly. The
100%.
time, the time commitment, dude. That's that's the biggest price you're gonna pay,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, I'll say this, and I didn't want to touch up on it, a ton, but like, reality is we can talk numbers and everything, but like without this program, we'll start off 100. I've changed the lives of 163 players, and I'm extremely grateful for that, and that's going to continue going up for years. With God in front of me, but without this program, like I wouldn't live where I live right now. I live, in a place that I can only have dreamed of when I was growing up. I have and we can stand up and show them about me, but it's just possible. And I wake up every morning and I work out and I get to be in my home and provide value to kids all over the entire world because I decided to invest into myself. And I did it after dropping out of school and my career being over. Guarantee you can too.
Yeah. And you used to not be able to speak English.
Not at all. I have a
I
podcast now, and here we are. So
know
funny.
you got a podcast. You literally are on camera for a living now and speaking a language you didn't even know, dude. You're a very impressive human being, man. And I just want to say thank you for your trust. What are your plans for the future, right? Obviously you've had a lot of success. Are you just gonna ride off into the sunset or are you looking to put your foot on the gas?
Yeah, so my immediate future, looking at making a nice steak after this, getting right back to work, and
Nice.
continue building the life that I promised myself I deserve and that I'm going to give back to my family. What that looks like is continuing to build this and continuing to impact lives. There's a lot of plans for the future, but right now I'm trying to focus on the day to day first, and we'll knock that out when it gets there. But to touch up on it, there's some really cool stuff happening behind the scenes. With the Beach Boys. You know, you probably don't love me saying that right now, but I'll say here, dude, this is actually crazy. So the guy that we're partnered up with that helps us out with the social media and stuff, the Big Justice and his pops, they're getting flown out by Mr. Beast on Friday to record a home run derby video with Bryce Harper. And guess what he's gonna be wearing?
A Beach Boy shirt.
A full uniform. And
No way.
we're getting a jersey for Mr. Beast. Eric Sim is also going to be out there, and then Bryce Harper too. So that's really cool. We'll see where that goes. But right now, definitely focusing on growing this as much as I can.
Yeah, that's so cool, dude. Congrats, dude. That's the first time I'm hearing about this. If
Dude,
you're watching this, that's the first time I'm hearing about it.
yeah, I didn't sign the NDA. My partner did, so I could talk about it. It's it's crazy how like to the T they are with that stuff. But yeah, that's only gonna help grow the brand. Sign up another kid today whose life I'm gonna change. Catcher out of Washington, DC. No idea what he's got going on in his recruiting process. Gonna change his life and continue doing that with the other guys I bring on board.
Out of DC, like DC or like Virginia?
No, DC. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we can talk about where he goes to high school later.
Yeah.
I went to high school in Northern Virginia, so like I know the area pretty well.
How far are you from Charlottesville?
Like 2 hours.
Okay. I have some
Yeah.
friends. That's about it.
Nah, we used to play UVA all the time growing up
Sick.
or in high school. Yeah.
Sick. But
But
yeah, I think this is, man, I say it again, but like I wouldn't be where I am now without joining the program. And you know, looking forward to again. So take it if you're still watching this late in the video, or I don't know if this will be included, but reality is this. Nick mentioned that I joined the program like close to a year ago. And guess what? It's not a year-long program, but I'm still in the program and I'm a recurring client, and that's for a reason. If it didn't work for me, could have easily finalized the program and gone off and took what I learned, right? But I decided to invest into myself again and can continue to expect myself doing that moving forward too.
yeah, I appreciate you, dude. I appreciate you. I think it's just like, you know, if you work with a hitter, like you're a hitting coach and you work with a hitter for 2 years, are they going to see more growth in that 2 years or in 90 days? But if I ask you to commit to me for 2 years up front, that's like, you know, walking up to a girl in the bar and being like, hey, let's date for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, it don't make sense.
Exactly. Oh, fair enough.
But
But
go ahead.
this has been awesome.
Yeah. Where we'll wrap up here, dude. Where can people find you if they want to reach out? Hey, Omar, how much did Nick pay you to do this YouTube interview?
Kind of, were you supposed to? I haven't gotten anything yet. I'm waiting. What are you doing, man? Did you talk to my people? Uh, at Omar underscore Almodovar on Twitter. That's ALMODOVARR. Omar underscore Almodovar. Feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to answer any questions. Hop on a call. And yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you jumping on. If you're a coach or even if you run a recruiting service, although Omar, you're my guy, I don't want to step on your toes. If you're a coach and you want to learn how you can expand your training business online, maybe you're already training athletes online, then booking a call with me or my team down below. The link will be in the description. Walk through your situation if you're the right fit. We can get you started right there. But Omar, appreciate you jumping on, man. Any last words for the people out there?
Yes. Separate yourself from the outcome. Focus on the inputs and everything you do. Focus on what you can control. Do more of that. The rest will take care of itself.
Appreciate you, Omar. And I appreciate you guys watching this. Catch you in the next one.
Make sure you smash the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, baby.